Well, good morning. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your December the 12th just for today in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into our meditation. It is entitled Fear of Change. By working the steps, we come to accept a higher power's will. We lose our fear of the unknown. We are set free. Basic text, page 16. Life is a series of changes, both large and small. Although we may know and accept this fact intellectually, chances are that our initial emotional reaction to change is fear. For some reason, we assume that each and every change is going to hurt, causing us to be miserable. If we look back on the changes that have happened in our lives, we'll find that most of them have been for the best. We were probably very frightened at the prospect of life without drugs, yet it's the best thing that's ever happened to us. Perhaps we've lost a job that we thought we'd die without, but later on we found greater challenge and personal fulfillment in a new career. As we venture forth in our recovery, we're likely to experience more changes. We will outgrow old situations and become ready for new ones. With all sorts of changes taking place, it's only natural to grab hold of something, anything familiar, and try to hold on. Solace can be found in a power greater than ourselves. The more we allow changes to happen at the direction of our higher power, the more we'll trust that those changes are for the best. Faith will replace fear, and we'll know in our hearts that all will be well. Just for today, when I'm afraid of a change in my life, I will take comfort from knowing that God's will for me is good. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This Just for Today meditation for December 12th is very powerful because it's helping us to understand that one of the things that we as addicts have a tendency to operate out of, even after we get clean, is a character defect called fear. And a lot of times it doesn't have any value. It doesn't have any basis. It's just kind of like our go-to, if you will. It's what we know best, is to be in fear of the unknown. And in the fear of the unknown, there comes all sorts of justifications for various responses. Now, I'm not sure if I'm making sense here, but let me try and break it down to where it's something that you can easily understand. In the expression of fear, in the aftermath of fear, fear is a character defect. So it's something that is sort of ingrained in your natural self. And in that character defect, there is, if we compared it to a cake pan that had a dent in it, and that dent was called fear. Now, you're a baker, so every time you make a cake, you would love for the cake to be beautiful. But this cake pan, this is yourself, has this dent in it called fear. So every time you produce a pound cake, or you produce a yellow cake, or you produce a chocolate cake, no matter which cake you produce, no matter how flavorful it is, it's always going to have this dent on a certain side of the cake. Now, you know that, and people that scrutinize you very well will realize that your cake always has a dent in the side of it. And the reason being is because the mold in which you're using to make it is the same. It has a defect in it, and it's called fear. Now, because you know it, you have a way of trying to compensate for it so that it goes unnoticed by others. Now, you might camouflage it with extra frosting on that particular side and try to pack in. Or if you're a really wise baker, you might take shave off the top of your cake and kind of shove that extra little cake in on the side and try to make smooth over it. So what am I saying? That we're so used to having this character defect of fear that we've become adapted to trying to cover over it or trying to make it look as though it does not exist. And we use our behaviors to sort of fluff it up or posture it up or make it sound better than it actually is. And we get used to operating in the lie, right? We get used to operating in the excuses. We get used to saying, well, I was raised that way, or that's just how I am, or that's my program, or that's the way I've always been. I'm never going to change. It runs in my family. We just have a hot temper and so and so. And you know what I'm saying? Going on and on and on with all these rationalizations and justifications for why we operate with this character defect, knowing that it's there without addressing why it's there. And so here we are, fear of change. We have a choice to make now and today in recovery. We have a choice of deciding whether or not we're going to bang that character defect out. Just say, God, look, I'm tired of all of the chaos and confusion and the lies and the cheating and the stealing and the manipulating. And it just goes on and on. And the degradation and living on an animalistic level because I'm in fear of even trying to get a picture ID so that I could actually prove to the people that have an apartment that I might be able to qualify for, that I am who I say I am, because maybe I have some back child support, or I've got some other legal issue that's pending that I've not resolved. So instead of banging out the fear and dealing with it in the here and now, we just let it perpetuate and grow and grow and grow into this big, huge snowball where we don't deal with it. Not ever, unless we're caught up to or have to, right? Faced with it. But not today, in recovery today. And I thank the God of my understanding right now for the clarity in my lungs to be able to even have this conversation with you, because it's serious in nature to me. And I was really fearing that I would cough my head all the way through it, having to take breaks. And I'm just really grateful that I could talk right now, right? Because I want for you to know that in recovery, we're different people today. It's not saying that you're not going to be faced with situations that you're going to need to say the serenity prayer and ask for the courage, right, to change the things that you can. Now, getting clean doesn't stop life from happening, but being clean and pursuing recovery through working the steps, as it says here, by working the steps, we come to accept a higher power's will. We lose our fear of the unknown. We are set free. See, don't become over religious with that, because I know a lot of people that don't have a God, that live a life in recovery that allows them, even as agnostic, even as atheists, even as unbelievers, even as angry people, right? Even, upset people with the church or the mosque or whatever it is, right? I know a lot of people that have gotten their feelings hurt over religiosity that are able to live free in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Don't get it twisted, right? That we are set free because we are applying the principles of the 12 steps. the principles of this program in all of our affairs. So it doesn't really matter to me, like which direction you're coming from. It does not matter. You are able and you are capable and you are worthy and you are deserving of living the same level of freedom that I'm living. You have the same grace and the same mercy and the same forgiveness and the same unconditional love at your disposal as I do. This is one program that levels the playing field. Anyone that is willing to get out there on the field of recovery, roll their sleeves up and go to work and play as a part of the team instead of by themselves solo, will have an opportunity to live so high in the figurative sense and not on dope. Are you understanding what I'm trying to convey to you? That this is one of those meditations, again, that I want you to put a 5-star by, bend the page back, highlight it, go back over it when I'm done, and see how some of the changes you have faced that you feared, but you went through them with courage, were for your better. You know, it makes one statement here. It says that we assume that each and every change is going to hurt, causing us to be miserable. This is one thing I know, and two things for certain, that change will not come unless the pain of staying the same is greater than the fear of change. So there has to be some substance of uncomfortability, let's call it pain, if you will, before a person is willing to change. Even on the molecular level, right? On the most minutest level, there is some uncomfortability. And in that, then the person says, I need to make a change, and they will make that change, right? Starting with the man in the mirror. Okay. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do today. Don't get to the point where you're at your rock bottom before. You can do it willfully. You can make changes now. You don't have to wait until your fingers are bent back playing uncle before you say uncle and surrender. You don't have to play that game anymore with the lower destructive power. You could walk with the higher power of your own understanding and win every day of your life. Or you can walk with the lower destructive power, refusing to surrender, losing pieces of your soul day by day by day, little tiny bits, pieces and pieces until you're almost non-existent. My name is Mighty Stream, and today I want for you to embrace change. I hope that you will have the most beautiful December the 12th that you've ever lived, and that today you will live a purposeful day full of joy, peace, and happiness. That's what you deserve. I believe in you. I'll talk to you soon.